Welcome back to Silent Podcast, where we are anything but silent, and we're here breaking it down as usual with the season finale of Lego Masters. It's me, one of your co-hosts, Mark, and I'm here as usual with one of my absolute favorites, Josh. How are you today, my friend?
Mark, I am so good. I am so pumped about the outcome of this finale. I loved it. I loved what happened. I thought it was a great episode. Great cap to a great season. So I'm doing good. How are you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. I've always had small issues with the finales. That we'll talk about that anyways very soon. But I think the winner was correct. I think the rankings of them were correct. I've got some fun issues with what the build's gonna be, but that's a whole different situation. Um,
Yeah.
but honestly, like Lego Masters finales, like it's just always just so good and so sweet, like in a good way,
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I don't know if that jumbo jet's gonna fit on my shelf behind me here, but I'm very anxious to see what the finished product that hits the shelves looks like, because that thing.
Honestly, yeah, I'm excited to see it in real life. Like, because the Lego store on Fifth Avenue is a 10-minute walk from my job, so
Oh man, very jealous.
it's just gonna be like staying in the middle of that lobby, and you're like, wow, that is a very big jet.
Yes.
But
So
yeah,
I just want to say we just gotta say it. Congrats, Christopher. Congrats, Robert. Absolute dominance in the back half of a season. I don't think we've seen a run like this in the 4 seasons of US Lego Masters. I really don't think that anyone's had a dominant streak like this to finish off a season. So congrats to them. Well deserved. Was so excited to see that they won.
like I'm trying to think, like, okay, like especially this way where it's like one team's dominant the first half, then there's a little bit of like alternating dominance, and then like one team dominates the second half.
Yeah.
Like that's
No, it was just
definitely
they really crushed it at the end. Like they the second half of the show was just their entire. It was that pivotal golden brick episode with the build it by or the
is it
fool
brick?
us. Yeah, is it brick? Exactly. Once they
Which
got
I
that
am
golden
nominating
brick,
for. I think that's like literally the episode of the year for reality TV. And
yeah,
Lego Masters is so good with that. Should we get talking about this episode?
yeah. Go for it, Mark. Take us away.
Yeah. All right. So forever finale. That's the name of the episode. It's not the finale forever. It's the like the number 4 ever finale. Season 5 is actually being shot right now, so that's great. I love a little montage we get at the top of like everyone throughout the season. And like it's just such good positive energy throughout this episode that I think is just so like why we are here for Lego Masters.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And the 3 teams that are here at the end were definitely 3 great teams, as we've discussed. But this season had a lot of good, strong builders as well. And I do think that like overall, like the quality of the Lego builders is only like getting higher and higher. I think as people key in on what
Mm-hmm.
can make them successful and probably are training better for the show. Not that there's more seasons to rely on, but yeah. So it's good to see some familiar faces. But I was excited again, of course, that these were
Yeah.
the final 3 here.
And like, I feel like what's really cool about it is like, okay, so of the 3 teams, Nina and Sam, they dominated the first half of the season. Krista and Robert, they dominated the second half of the season. And throughout, Paul and Lita have just been getting better and better and more interesting.
Yeah, and they mastered the ability to not get last place. They really got that down. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. It felt like each 3 of them, like you're saying, like had very clear stories, very clear reasons as to why they made it into the final 3.
Yeah. And then like immediately at the top of the episode, pretty much, Will reveals the big secret that they've had all season about how
Yeah.
the winning build will be redone and not like 20,000 pieces to and become like sellable and store. And like Christopher looked like he was gonna explode. Like I love how I feel like after Is It Brick, the veneer of the villainous Christopher disappeared.
Yeah. No, this is why I'm just so excited for him and for Robert, is just
Yeah.
because the emotion, the investment is there. He's this fully himself. And so yeah, you could just see the enthusiasm on his face when that was revealed. And so the fact that they won this, and then they also won the video game award as well. Like I'm just so
2K, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like just like one of those like cool things. Like they've had a really fun season as Lego fans. So the judges want it to be big and eye catching as possible. And like honestly, like this feels like a recipe for disaster. The way it could be, like considering like how big these teams do go, and they want the build to be complete 360s, which I think is very important for why I think one of the teams doesn't really have a chance, unfortunately. But I will say the one that won is the only complete 360.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it definitely was the most fully formed build where it didn't feel like it was not
Yeah,
supposed to be viewed from a specific angle. So that's a
yeah.
good point. I didn't actually think about that at all.
I mean, like we'll go into detail about them in a moment, but yeah, I think for sure. But like Chris and Robert, they're like we have to pull out all the stops. They're talking about like their destinations in life, and that becomes a very big thing about their build. Paul and Nalita want to build inspired by their family history with Christmas Eve, and we learned that like Paul loves building like houses and architecture, and it really makes you understand like the way he has been as a builder throughout, because he always leans towards realistic, you know?
Yeah. And they talk about the kind of ambition that they're going to approach this build, and he calls himself a realist as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was. We'll talk about the finished product, but I do think that that Nolita edged him on throughout the season to think bigger and better. But yeah, anyways, here he's just like, yeah, I'm a realist. I know what I can build. Let's go for it.
Yeah. And yeah, we will get there in probably like 5 or 10 minutes about how these builds look, honestly, because I think they do deserve a lot of time to talk about that, and we're only here for like 30-ish minutes. Um, but so Nina and Sam decide a tree, telling a different story with each branch of their lives. And then we get this cute montage of them getting closer, and it's like really, really sweet, and like and it's just great,
Yeah,
Um, it's really this is this is when I realized that Nina is definitely pulling her weight. Like I feel like there's a lot of times when it's like great builder and okay builder, and like the okay builder gets like it's mainly like just putting things down. But like Nina's like really part of that team.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Amy comes by and gives them feedback, right?
Yeah.
Um, and Nita immediately has the idea, okay, we could pivot by making the four leaves, the four different seasons. And so that way it could tie everything together. So that was clearly her idea. We've seen this before where they've gotten feedback, and Sam almost has like tunnel vision, and he's like stuck on an idea, and Nina can help break him out of that.
Yeah.
And so I think that like it's not only that she was good with Lego. I think that she was good with Sam. She was helpful in getting him off of his, like one track mind, and just as his mom knew how to like actually like redirect him really helpfully. So she does that here again, which is a cool way to end the season for them.
Yeah. So Christopher and Robert decide to build the World Wonderliner, a giant 8x8 plane with
Yeah.
people sleeping on a track circling the plane, like the whole body of the plane where people would sit, and dreaming of their destinations.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's so cool. Such a great idea. And they say they're gonna swing for the fences, of course, and they're gonna try to build the biggest set of all time on Lego Masters history, which I don't think they actually did because we would have gotten that, confirmation at the end. But
mhm.
regardless, this thing is a behemoth and an amazing feat just in the fact that they were able to complete it, let alone the detail and everything that they were able to put into
And they
it.
had 24 hours. Like it's not like a short amount of time. They had probably like 3 days of build. I have no idea how many hours a day they do a build, but like it's definitely not 24 hours straight.
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember Boone alluding to that when we interviewed him, and him
Mhm.
talking about how they, like they would segment into like these 6 hour days or 8 hour days, maybe at the most, and then
Yeah.
anything longer than that, like a 10 hour build, like they have some of these episodes, like those are broken up into a couple
Yeah.
days.
It makes sense. It's a lot of time, like using your hands in very small like ways. So then, like they bring up like who doesn't like planes. I fucking love planes, but this is real for me. I don't love them as Lego sets. I never really
Why?
loved. I think I like had issues building them as a kid.
Got it.
Uh,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I've only had like 1 or 2 Lego sets that's a plane. Everything else has been like pirates or whatever when I was a kid. Now it's like obviously like the Friends Central Perk. Recently just did the Jurassic Park T-Rex attack. If anyone wants to buy me a gift, just not anyone. I really want the Temple of Doom run. Although Raiders Lost Ark Temple run, it would be really cool. Just stating for the internet, not to be right now,
Mark, I appreciate you're trying to hint me to ship you something in New York. It's not happening. I gotta buy Legos I have a son now. Okay, so any Lego money set aside is going to him.
I mean, I won't eat the bricks.
Yeah, true.
So,
but I hear what you're saying, and probably the Lego airplanes, the closest thing that I really built was like Star Wars. Like
yeah,
you know,
like TIE
planes.
fighters.
I'll put in quotes. Yeah, really spaceships and stuff. But that's as close as I got to really building planes. But the problem with planes, and this is what I was worried about with them when they were saying it, is that it's hard to tell the story internally. So they did a great job of not just building a plane, right, but weaving in these stories and everything inside of it. Because it just as a car or something like that, like we've seen in other builds, when you just put these like enclosed things, it's hard to see what's going on inside of them. So they went with a more creative approach, which I appreciated.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's smart, and like they've always liked motors. I think there's probably like 4 motors total in all 3 builds, like probably 2 on theirs or 2 on Ian and Sam's, and like 1 in Paul and Alita's. But yeah, it's interesting seeing like how little motors actually mattered for in this finale for teams that were very technically sound.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I really want to bring up Christopher's reaction to Robert being like, yeah, it's gonna be the biggest finale build ever. And like Christopher's like, dude, why are you doing that? Like you just screwed us over.
Yeah, no, I like that they just decided to just okay, we're just gonna roll with it. That's what we're gonna try to do. And again, it doesn't really matter. They shot for the what is it? They shoot for the stars. They hit the moon.
Yeah.
That was the mentality they had, and it served them well this whole season. And they did it again well here.
So Paul and Alita, what I love about their build is it looks like a big, cool dollhouse. Like from the instant, like it starts, and like Amy comes over and says, "Make sure the scale is correct for the house, like so that people like aren't like giant size or too small." And I think that's a pretty good note. Like we're gonna talk about their build in a moment, but like um, they understood the assignment differently than the other teams.
What do you mean? Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so if we were just judging on the final 3 builds, like straight up marketability, etc., all that stuff, I honestly think like something that to be sold, this is the easiest one to sell.
Yeah, agreed.
It's the one that's technically least personal while still being incredibly personal. It's because like as cool as Christopher Roberts is, like I've never been to the Coliseum.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
But,
for
like,
sure.
I do have, like, family memories with, like, family, like, I mean, not Christmas memories, I'm Jewish, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a thing I can relate to, and I'm like and the build looked really cool, so I felt like it could be a really cool 3,000 piece set, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sure when they end up going to Denmark and trying to take this build and turn it into something that is marketable, they will probably change those specific memories. That'll be the first thing that needs to be adapted.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think it was really cool for them. Like, literally, in my personal opinion, I feel like there's only been 2 successful final builds, for, like, things that aren't just like, "Hey, this is my memory," or whatever. And one of them
Yeah,
is a memory. Like Nick and Stacy's like build of imagination, I thought was incredible. Like
yeah.
the detail, and it was how it felt like it was. Yeah, it was for them, but it was also for like anyone that's like 30ish years old. And the Phoenix from the first season, I thought was really cool too.
Yeah. No, I hear what you're saying, and I think that is like one of the hard things about the final builds in Lego Masters in general is that they don't have these limitations, and people really, I think, struggle without having a direction given to them by the judges, by the show. And so because it's so open-ended and they have so much time, it does end up being, I don't know, some teams really struggle, I think, with getting a creative idea out there. That's something that's easy to, I don't know, to really hit out of the park.
And like they're always told, make it personal, make it personal. So that means people are like if it was like you and me were a team, we'd be like, oh, cool, it'd be like us in front of our computers, like
podcasting.
You know what I mean? Like, and like it'd be like really sweet, it'd be like a fun little heart or whatever. I don't know, cool hats on our minifigs. I don't know, but like if you're making this marketable for Steve in Iowa, like will Steve in Iowa want to build a set where it's just you and me podcasting?
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's almost like the conflict. The values are conflicting, so you have to really figure out the narrow overlap that you can in that Venn diagram. So that's a good point.
Which in my personal opinion is the reason why even though Paul and Nolitas might not be the most obviously great one, it's good. It's very, very good. The fact that it's less in theory personal while being very personal, like Nina and Sam's tree, which is so ginormous, is really like, hey, here we are in your kitchen, here we are in your backyard, you know, like
here's grandma.
We're gonna get there in a moment. So Will comes in and says like, stop the clock, and you're like, you know a twist is coming. And then commercial break, and then it comes back, and then Will says friends and family are here, and points to the doors, and they don't come out, and then they come out to the back doors. All right, so I've got a question. How do you feel about this?
About bringing in the family?
Yeah, a family visit in this kind of show.
I mean, I don't mind it. I don't have strong feelings either way. It doesn't get me as emotional as some of the family visits in other shows that we tend to watch.
Fair. Because like Lego Masters is a lot about family, but it's not like Survivor where you're like, oh my god, you've been watching Couture star for like 20 days and hopefully, you know what I mean?
They're not broken down psychologically to the point where they see one familiar thing in their life and they start crying.
Yeah. My issue with the family visit for Lego Masters is the fact that it's a competition. They're trying to do their best. And if their family comes in, I'm going to be distracted by my family.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Of course, we love emotion. We love good, positive emotion. I'm not shitting on this episode by any means.
Yeah. No, but it's a good question to ask. I mean, I think that it's probably worth it for the moments like we get with like Robert here after they're announced as the winners, where he's just sobbing, you know, like hugging his mom. Like that was beautiful, and that was like the most emotion we got out of Robert really like the whole season. I feel like, you know, he was kind of more the stoic one, you know, to Christopher's wild antics, and but yet Robert's, you know, reaction really was the one that moved me of everybody's in the finale, and that probably just only happens if you have his family out there.
Well, okay, I agree. Family is fine, but like at that point in the build, it's too soon.
Oh,
like, I feel like,
like I think it's a good point.
Let's say, for example, we're on Lego Masters. We're doing great. We're in the finale. My fiance, your wife, your kid come out, all that stuff. We're so happy. We get distracted, and like our brains are scattered. But like, would you rather be like not 12 hours in, but 24 hours in after the build? Like, oh my god, our families are here. This is great, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if you're a Great British Bake Off person, but the way they do it there is like, you know, once they're done and they step out of the tent, then all of their family and stuff is out there, you know, so they can do like while the judging is happening, and then they come out and announce it, you know, out on the lawn with all their family. So some version of that is probably the better version. And Lego Masters and Great British Bake Off are very, very similar in their format, in their vibe. So maybe they could take some notes there.
You know, I'm not the most familiar with Great British Bake Off, but I believe you, and now I really want to watch it. People who like this show, not for the Lego, like the technical stuff, but like it because of the vibe and because the competition mixed with good-natured, like goodwill among the contestants, like that is what Great British Bake Off is as well. Probably a little bit even more extreme than okay.
Yeah, they would not know how to handle Christopher on Great British Bake Off. Even the very little bit of villainous that he has in him, they've never had anybody like an ounce like that on Great British Bake Off.
So yeah, we have to talk about like the cute. I will admit this: like the family interaction stuff is cute and is helpful. Like for us as like audience members, like seeing Sam show Grandma Rabinder her tiny self, and like
So
she's
good.
like she doesn't get it, but this is great. And then like Will being like to Christopher Sally, how evil was Christopher as a kid? And like brings up like a text on like like as computer as a kid, and you see Christopher looking exactly the same, but
Yeah.
like half the size in front of his computer, and it's great. I loved it.
I loved how Nina was talking about like we need to make my mom's legs shorter, like make them shorter, like she's tiny. Yeah, no, it was great, and so it's fun.
Yeah,
And I know that's not what you're saying. It's not fun. It just it's probably
it's
tough to
distracting if
build.
I was in the game. If I was
Yeah,
in the
for
game, I'd
sure.
be distracted. As an audience member, I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, let's go on. Let's talk about these builds.
Okay, these builds are amazing. They're all massive. Like honestly, they're all massive builds, and like the fact that Christopher Roberts makes the other two look smaller is absurd. When like the tree is like 6 foot tall.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Their build is incredible. Are we gonna? What are we gonna start? Are we start with their build?
Let's start with let's start. Well, oh, should we talk about quickly about the roof breaking
The roof breaking. What do you mean?
for Paul and Alita? How they dropped the roof?
Oh, the roof. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, that was a big dramatic moment in this. Like there was not much drama, and then like when they're putting the roof on the house, it breaks, and then you're like, oh man, because like they have a cool like the roof. The for those that haven't watched, of course, watch it. It looks like the building looks like a check mark, kind of.
Yeah,
And it breaks, and Paul like kind of panics, and the leader like is like, "Don't worry, I got this," and like boopity boopity boops it back together.
yeah. No, very impressive, and just again a sign of their growth, of her growth with building with Lego.
Yeah,
So, yeah, a nice little recovery there at the end.
yeah. All right, so let's talk about that tree first, right? Sam and Nina's giant family tree with the 4 seasons, which I think is actually a really cool idea. I think the seasons is a really good idea. And I do think like the way that the little branches was very cool. And of course, it is a giant tree. So they did their best to make it textured and stuff like that and different colored, but still mostly brown and green. But I liked the specificity what but like again I felt like it was too personal.
Yeah, I also just think that like you talked about the Phoenix, we talk about the plane here. Like I think the specificity got lost when you first look at the build. Like you just see the tree, and then
The
you really
tree's so
have to.
big.
Yeah, and so I think the judges and stuff really like the storytelling that really pops when you first look at it, and you can
Yeah,
instantly tell what's going on. And sometimes when you use the minifigs, sometimes when you get into these little tiny story details, it gets lost in the immediate first impression of the build, especially when it's that big. So it's just it was a tough idea, I think, to work with, and they tried to pivot with adding the different seasons to make it tie in a little bit more together to tell a story more instantly. But it's still just, I mean, of course, incredible, massive, like you're saying, so like bizarre that's not the biggest build here in the finale, because it would have been, I'm sure.
it's my height. It's a tall tree.
Yeah,
It's a 6 foot tall Lego set. Like
yeah. So I just
it,
think the little stories that they wove in, on each of those leaves just were too small in comparison to the size of the tree. That's what I thought.
yeah. So then we're gonna talk about Paul and Lolita. But they're really cool, like ski chalet dollhouse with lots of little dioramas throughout. Again, I if it was just the final build and not like the rest of the stuff from the other part of the season, which of course that's part of it. I think that this would have been my pick. Like thinking of like what would sell.
Yeah,
I think the fact they have like a cool ski hill, like with the using like the roller coaster stuff from last time was really cool. Um, I don't know, it just really did it for me. I thought like the storytelling was fun. It was cute.
yeah. I thought so too. I thought it wasn't, nearly as ambitious as the other two as far as scale, but the that immediate storytelling factor was there for me. Like the house itself feels like it could be in a Lego architecture line.
Yeah,
Um, and then, like you said, the little stories, the fact that they use the roller coaster, like pieces. Like there was things that really worked well for them in this build that I did think they succeeded at, and was a great, final build for them.
I will say this: I feel like the detailing on the house on the outside could have been better. It definitely hurt on the 360 aspect,
Yeah,
but again, like they built this amazing mountain that was like, I honestly think this was like a 3 foot by 3 foot build. It's not small, like
yeah,
maybe 3 foot by like 3 foot wide and like 4 foot tall. I'm not sure. Like it looked big, but yeah, I mean, like obviously scale was not as big, but the details were there. And like again, as a person that's like that likes to buy Lego, I'm like that's what I would like to build.
yeah, yeah, definitely. All right, well, let's talk about scale though.
All right, so talk about scale. The villa built an actual plane, pretty much, uh, with so much support because the thing is so huge. Christopher Robert built this unnecessarily big plane. It's amazing. But like the track goes all the way around it, and their minifigs were on like the beds that like went around it, and like it was a tree in Kenya, Colosseum, and a temple in China, right?
Yeah, it was those three scenes exactly. And
And yeah,
for me, the thing that just I feel like won them the competition that was just the most impressive was the wings, man. I cannot believe that they got those things so long and so thin
yeah.
to be unsupported, at the ends there, that they could connect just straight to the base of the plane, and that's all they needed. Like that just blows my mind. I still have no idea how that works.
I mean, like they did say they used a lot of Technic on it, which I mean that makes sense. Technic is like one of those type of things that makes support stronger. They used a lot in the bridge build, which is literally the best episode of Lego Masters ever. Fight me on that if you don't believe that. But yeah, no, it was really cool. I feel like there was a lot of empty in it, which in the plane aspect. Like, of course, they built the Colosseum. They built a giant tree in Kenya. They built the temple in China. Like it was really impressive. Like when you look at the plane itself on the inside, there's not much there besides the track.
Yeah, and so I think that that's kind of okay though, because it is one big, I don't know, wow factor that just hits you right
Mhm.
away. And so even if itself it's not the most complex, um, with flair and everything, I think that in general, like just building one big character, or in this case, like the plane as the character, I just feel like that's the way to go in these finale builds. We've seen people who've really pull that off by not building these like sets that have all these little stories. I know they had the three stories, but like the
Yeah,
really big main character was prominent, and that is the plane itself.
and like it's amazing. Like I obviously I've never built a set by myself. I mean I built sets that Lego made in packages. I love doing that. If anyone ever wants to
Yeah.
send me,
Mark, I'm
uh,
not sending you Lego, okay?
Josh, I'm just asking for the Avengers Tower that just came out. Only $500.
Yeah. No, but seriously, I get what you're saying. You haven't designed. Neither of us we're not Lego designers. We don't, that's not like our background. But yeah, this thing is incredible. And as somebody who is a very much a novice here, just a Lego appreciator, I was blown away. I just felt like this was an obvious win as soon as like we saw the final builds.
I agree. I mean, so yeah, like they won. Nina Sam came in second place, which I think is very fair for the trajectory for the season. And like we got like Nina's like last words, and they were like really sweet about how like she was like happy to be there with Sam, like because as a parent, like kids grow older, and it was like really beautiful, and like also got like a nice little like thing with like Paul and Lolita, how like Lolita like has calmed him down, and it was just it was like really sweet, like especially because I feel like in the show, Nalita always felt like the second hand, like very funny character, like the annoying little sister. You know, she's not annoying; she's an adult.
Yeah,
But like, I don't know. It just is like Paul's very stoic, and she's like, ah, you know.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like these six people were great. Like there were great casting choices. I mean, I know Paul was like the most reserved and stuff, and maybe Robert as well.
Yeah,
But the way that they were able to build together with their pair, and then also like having maybe a more, they have the outgoing person, but then as a team they're very functional. So I really feel like, like if anyone from Lego Masters is listening, like I don't mind casting, two people. If one of them is more of the main character, like, comedy wise or, character wise, that's fine. And if they can also be a functional duo who can build together. So I think
Yeah.
that's great.
And also, like, let's like shout out the cat, like in casting in general, like the diversity of this final three is
Yeah.
amazing. Like two teams from Asia, and one team, one team with a black player. Like, African
Yeah.
American. I can't speak. Wow, I am so.
No, it is really cool. And it's just diversity, not only in, ethnic heritage, but also in age, which is just
Yeah,
one of the coolest things about this show, that you can get people like Nina building with her son. And it's so, very, very diverse cast, and very, successful final six here of people with all different types of backgrounds. So I loved it. Yeah, I think that's a
yeah.
beautiful aspect of the show.
It's one of the things that like makes you want to come back and always talk about the show. But
Yeah.
I mean, people might realize we're coming back pretty soon because the Celebrity Holiday Spectacular season 2, which our first season was the first time you and I podcasted together. Which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. We'll be talking about that in like a few weeks, which I'm very excited about that. I watched the first episode, and Marshawn Lynch is delivering.
Bro.
Him and Dave are a great team. I'm very happy by what I've seen so far.
I won't spoil the ending. I have watched both episodes, but I do consider myself an expert in Marshawn Lynch television, appearances. I have
Yeah.
seen every single episode of him, on, I don't know, Westworld, him on Stars on Mars, the Great American Bake Off, the other show with Will Arnett, Murderville. I love Marshawn Lynch. He is my number one favorite celebrity guest on any TV show. So very excited. We got to talk about it, Mark.
Also, Nene Leakes, Kelly Osbourne, Rob Riggle, whom I will always like be cheering for.
Yeah, those people are fine, but Marshawn, okay, beast mode himself.
Yeah. I'm so excited to talk about it. But we'll be doing that in a few weeks. But Josh, how can people follow? First off, thank you. I've been there. I was really happy with how the season went. Coverage is always fun with you, and talking Lego with you is always great.
Yeah, Mark. No, thank you. I know you really take the lead on these things, and I really am just the color commentator chiming in. You take extensive notes, which I really appreciate, and keep us on track. So thank you, Mark. And just your passion for Lego, but really anything that you love is very infectious, and I'm always happy to talk with you because of that.
Thank you. And also, if anyone that's played on Lego Masters, especially this season, especially Christopher, Robert, or Nina and Sam, or Paul and Lolita, any of them, they're all great, and we would love to talk to you on the show. And of course, you can watch us talking to Boone last year, which was really cool. And also, I talked to Jamie and Amy and Nick and Stacy. You can find all that information on our YouTube page. Josh, how can people follow you? What are you up to?
Yes, follow me at Josh Kettles on Twitter. That's where I do most of my talking about reality TV. Subscribe to Silent Podcasts, of course, for anything else coming out. But really, I'm talking Survivor. My other podcast is futurepastsurvivor.com. So if you like that show, want to give it a listen, we're just wrapping up our coverage of season 45 of Survivor there. But other than that, just stay subscribed to Silent Podcast, and you'll find something that I'm up to. But I know you'll also find many, many things that Mr. Mark here is up to as well. So, Mark, hit us with those things.
Oh, I'm ramping down, which is such a nice feeling after last week. At Mark Levy 85. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter. At Movie Marcus, I'm doing movie reviews on TikTok. I got to record one still for Maestro, which I just watched, which fun, awesome movie. But I'm not going to spoil that right here. Coming up on some podcasts, you will see us later in a few weeks talking Brick with the celebrity about celebrities. I'm going to announce it here. It looks like Sarah Carradine and I will be talking to Felicia and Ashley from Squid Game at the end of this year, which I'm so excited because Felicia and Ashley are so good. And it looks like Sabrina and myself will be talking with a couple of teams from The Amazing Race and longer form conversations later this year, early next year. And yeah, always happy to talk. Loving the Silent Podcast family. Can't wait to see the reindeer games coverage from tonight. So excited. Reindeer games is great. It's all great. Yeah.
Cool. Well, Mark, thank you again. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you for Lego Masters Holiday Bricktacular.
Get your brick on.
Get your brick on.